there's something about the narrative of A Bride for Christmas that sounds so familiar. And I don't know if maybe I had just seen this film at some point in the past and I just completely forgot about it, or if there's a similar film. Now, this is a Hallmark film released in 2012, and generally speaking, even though it's not the most eventful, I kind of like it because I was curious. I was curious about how the narrative would develop. It was directed by Gary Yates, who does a lot of really brilliant Hallmark films. Written by Barbara Kymlicka and stars Arielle Kebbel as our protagonist Jessie. We also have Andrew W. Walker as Aiden MacTiernan. And I'll read the description from IMDb, which sums it up pretty well without spoiling anything. And this says, a single man tries to win a bet by getting a woman recovering from a broken engagement to marry him by Christmas. Our single man, of course, is our protagonist Aiden. The broken-hearted woman is Jessie. That sounds kind of sleazy. I have to say he doesn't know that she's broken-hearted. The challenge wasn't find somebody who was grieving a relationship and get them to marry you. It was just to prove that he could get any woman to agree to marry him. In itself, you could argue that that's kind of sleazy as well, but I was interested to see how he would do this. And obviously we have two strangers meeting and developing a relationship. Will he be able to convince Jessie to marry him? I will say, although I had no predictions for how the narrative would develop, what did happen was a surprise, and I genuinely liked that it wasn't quite as predictable as it perhaps could have been. So that's something that I found really good. Jessie as a character needs to rein it in a bit. She is a brideaholic. Is that a word? We learn at the very beginning that she's been engaged several times and has almost made it to the I do's several times, and every time has got cold feet and bailed. So this really could have gone either way, and I won't say which way it went, but I will say that characters went through a lot of personal growth, and I think Jessie and Aiden as on-screen protagonists, you could argue Aiden is an antagonist, but I actually really liked him. I think his heart was in the right place a lot of the time, and I thought the way the relationship developed on screen was really quite satisfying. The narrative, as I said, not a lot happens, but somehow it still always seemed to be quite interesting. It's not the most festive, and that's fair enough. I would have liked a little bit more festivities, certainly as this is in the run-up to Christmas, but it's not completely void of merriment. It's a good film, not my favourite Hallmark film, but definitely one that I'm happy to recommend. I think it's got some surprises along the way that you might enjoy,